Why do some people seem to have such control and confidence over money while others grind it out, work just as hard, only to never get ahead? Like, which comes first? Is it money or is it money mastery? Do you need money to have control, or do you need to have control to be able to create money? Because here's the thing, making money is definitely a skill. But building wealth, that's a completely different ballgame that I personally believe they don't want us to know about. And I know that because I've been through all three levels. First, I struggled. I didn't even know how to make money. Then I learned how to make money, which was really fun. And then I got trapped, thinking I just needed to make more. But the real shift happened when I stopped chasing money and started mastering it. And so that's what I want to share with you today, which is how you can make that shift to go from just earning money to multiplying money. Now, I'm not a financial investment expert and I'm not here to advise on that exactly. But I do want to share with you some really game changing principles, three actually, that are going to help you not just get rich, but feel rich as well. So let's get into it. The first concept that I want to share with you is how to make money your friend. Crazy, right? So, there was this course I took at the beginning of last year. I started this journey of wanting to understand and master money last year because I was really very sick of feeling confused about money. I'm like, look, I'm smart. I'm no victim to anything. And so I want to understand money. I'm sick of not understanding it. So at the beginning of last year, I took a course called Make Money is Your Friend, and it was by Brooke Castillo. She is the founder of the Life Coach School. And I actually got Life Coach certified a couple of years ago. So this course really came into the amazing flow of what I was already doing as a life coach and understanding how the brain works and how this all works, just like the basic principles of life coaching is that your results in your life are a direct reflection of the thoughts that you have in your head. And furthermore, the relationship, right? Like money is your friend, it's a relationship. The relationships you have in your life are all centered around how you think about somebody or something. And so, what I have noticed in myself and every like so many other people is that the way that we think about money is one of the main, if not the main contributor to our results with money, which is usually stress. It's not as much as we want. And I like think about this. The narrative of money in our society is things like this. More money, more problems. Greedy, rich people are greedy. If you want to make more money, it means that you don't care about people. Like these are just the almost natural things that people think about, talk about when it comes to money. And it got me thinking like how can you have a good result with something when that is the narrative? If you had a friend, right? If we think about your best friend and your thoughts were things like I hate how I treat you. I don't want to look at your text. I feel embarrassed by our relationship. And I, I don't even know what to do with you. We would never even think those things about our human best friends or our favorite relationships. Yet, this thing that we actually care a lot about, we want, which is more money and more influence and more impact, it's like, how can we have those same thoughts about money, which is I don't understand it. I don't want to look at my bank account. I don't I don't even know up from down and I never feel like I have enough. Those thoughts about money are a toxic relationship. So, when I'm embarking on this concept of making money your friend, I'm like, whoa, like this is so much more than just compiling money or knowing how to make money. This is a whole paradigm shift of how how does our brain operate around this l- absolutely important topic. And people will say things like, well, money isn't everything. Okay, you're right, money isn't everything, but it's right up there with air. I believe that's a quote from Zig Ziglar himself. And so, even to like diminish the importance of money is one way of just disrespecting it and not fostering a healthy relationship with it. So, you know, the other thing about the other thing about money that I find to be very interesting when it comes to our relationship with it, I definitely felt this way where, we I'm in my 30s. And so since I've been working, my husband and I, we've both made the intentional effort of investing and saving and, trying to do smart things with our money within reason. I'm no Grant Cardone and how he talks about like, real estate, passive income, like I haven't done that stuff, but I've definitely put my money in smart places. So I thought, right? But what I found was that it felt like the kitchen junk drawer that you don't want to look at. You feel like you have all this important stuff in there, but you dread going into it. And it's just like packed and it's like, oh, it's just unorganized. And I felt that way with my money. And see, that's a thought. That is a frame of mind that does not contribute to healthy results with the money in your life, no matter how much you have. Right. And so I honestly want to give you a very practical strategy to start making money your friend, where you see it clearly, you acknowledge it, you think nice things about it. One of my favorite kind of litmus tests for how you see money is, okay, if a person's going to come to your house and they knock on the door, do you like hide behind the curtain? You're like, okay, if I don't acknowledge them, then they'll go away. Or like, I open the door, but I don't even want to talk to them. That doesn't even make sense. Like you just don't treat people like that, right? But money, we hide from it. We're ashamed of it. We're embarrassed by what we've done or didn't do. We're ashamed of our status. And this is just no way to develop a growing relationship. Okay. So this is foundational. And so I want to give you a really quick strategy. Now, in my class, Money is Your Friend, I started by doing what she said, which is to download a money app. Now, she recommended Rocket Money, Brooke did, but I want to share with you one that I think if you start doing this today, which you can, it will give you so much clarity and it will be the opposite of that junk drawer. It will be like the home edit came into your finances and you'll see it clearly and you'll be like, you know what? I can work with you. I want to look at you. I want to understand you and I want to be your friend. So there's actually an app that I want to recommend to you called Monarch. And I believe Monarch is the updated version of something called Mint that you might be familiar with. But Monarch allows you to upload all of your bank accounts, your mortgage through Zillow. It allows you to add any investments that you have, all the assets, whether it's like your car, which I know is like a liability, but you add all the things into your life. And here's what is the most important part that I learned in this class that changed my brain. Okay. What it will start to do is calculate your net worth. Now, if you're anything like me, you feel like nauseous at thinking about that because I remember thinking, oh, my net worth is probably zero because like I don't know, we have a mortgage. Like I have my house is part debt. And I just thought so negatively around my status with money. So what happens when you put all these things into the Monarch app, you actually start to see numbers in a lot more clear of a way and it will calculate your net worth. It will actually show you that the home that you have or the savings that you have or the investments that you have are assets that you have started to accumulate and they add up. And it will also put any like debts that you have too. So it calculates it. And here's the coolest part. Maybe you feel like your checking account and your savings account, it's just like this spend, earn, spend, earn, spend, earn. And you feel like you're on a hamster wheel. But what's really cool is when you start to bulk up these assets and the app does this addition for you, you start to see numbers in a much bigger way. So instead of just seeing, maybe it's $10,000, it actually looks like $100,000. And I don't know, of course, everybody is different, but you start to see bigger numbers. And I really believe that when you regularly in front of you have clarity around larger numbers, it actually really warms you up to making more money, to accepting more money, to seeing yourself and having that higher self-esteem about your, I keep saying status, but yes, your status with money. And you don't feel like such a ashamed, embarrassed, like loser. And I'm speaking for myself. I was just so frustrated by not knowing where I stood. And so this money is your friend concept, you will start to see it as such a clearer picture so that you can start making decisions and seeing what is your next best step. So I highly recommend that. And, you know, I find that humans, for some reason, we avoid looking at data. It's that dreading looking at your bank account, dreading weighing yourself, being scared to go get blood work because you're just afraid it's going to be bad. And there was a study done actually about weight. And there was two groups of people. The first group, this is around the holidays too. So one group did not diet at all, but they weighed themselves every single day. And then the other group dieted, but they didn't weigh themselves. And you want to know the group that actually lost weight was the group that weighed themselves every day. Why? Because data helps you control your destiny. You cannot change what you do not know. You cannot control what you do not know. And having this clear picture of data is going to help you start to see and warm up to and having a clear picture of where you are and where you want to go. So just like that, weighing yourself every day, having a clear picture, setting some goals in there will be the first step. It's not the only step, but it is the first step to growing and building wealth. Now, the second point that I want to talk to you about is learning how to make more money. Now, the entire purpose of the Sales Girls and what we do is to teach people how to make money. We have an amazing sales conversation framework so that you can go make as much money as you want. And what's really cool about knowing how to make money is that it puts you in the driver's seat in complete control over your earning potential. There's no other universe, there's no other career, there's no other opportunity in the world that gives you the control and the ability to have fast results than selling, period. It's a lie that you need money to make money. You need skills to make money. And this is what is so neat. I've seen people change their all their life in just 1 year or less of when they know how to make money. And this has come, we've had clients who do this. We've had people who just watch our YouTube channel and listen to the podcast and follow us on Instagram, all because they learned how to make money. I don't care how much debt you have. I don't care how big or small your goal is. When you know how to sell, you can make as much money as fast as you want. When you have an expertise to share with the world, value to give the world, and the ability to sell it. It is absolutely amazing. And here's what I will tell you. Kind of going back to our cultural narratives around money, one of the most famous people and talked about people when it comes to money is our lovely Dave Ramsey, who I truly respect so very much. But the problem is that his entire focus, the focus of everything is getting out of debt. And now, of course, I don't know your situation, but what I do know is that when all you do is focus on debt, not having debt is still zero. Not having debt is still zero. It doesn't help you think about how can I do this faster? How can I get money on this faster? Right. And, I don't even want to talk about debt, but my point is the most famous person in the world, arguably, to talk about money is really just about getting out of a hole. And I don't really want to talk to you about getting out of a hole. Of course, selling will get you out of that hole way faster. And he even says that. He'll say, go get another job. But we're the sales girls. We're not talking about getting a job. We're talking about adding value to the world and getting compensated for it. Nothing on the planet will help you do that faster than selling. And what's amazing is that you can do this whether you're an entrepreneur, you're an intrapreneur, which means that you add value to an organization and help drive revenue, or you can just be in sales. Like as a 1099 employee, the economy that we live in now rewards value creation and creators more than ever. I mean, the amount of money that people make on TikTok Shop just from being able to sell an item to get commission for it, absolute game changing. I believe that with the right skills and the right focus, you can make $1 million in a year, like very easily. In fact, if you made that your goal, I believe you'll at least hit half of that just with that mind frame in developing the skill set to be able to do it. So I cannot encourage you enough to give yourself the raise to make more money. Now, I'm not going to go into all the hows of that because that's what our channel is for. All of the content is centered around how can you use your mouth and your brain to provide value for someone else and you get compensated for it. Nothing will give you a faster raise, a bigger raise than that. And we had a client one time, she actually is at home with her daughter full time. And all she wanted to do was be able to have like $40,000 months. And I can't remember where she was at. Maybe she was at like 10, which I know might sound like a lot, but she had these big dreams. And within 6 months of knowing the more tactical skills behind selling and how she can talk about her own offer that she has, she hit the $40,000 month within 6 months. And then just a few weeks ago told us that she had a $180,000 day. Nothing on planet Earth can give you that much of a raise fast. So please don't just think about getting out of debt or how all that kind of small-minded stuff. I really want you to think, how can I generate value for the world and give myself the biggest, fastest raise ever while helping more people? Because when you sell, you're actually giving someone else something that they want in exchange for something they want less, which is their money. They actually want the thing that you have more than they want their money. That's the beauty of it, is you have a win-win situation when you sell. What's really cool then is that you get into a place where you are feeling ahead, right? You can start to go from, oh, I make, $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year to 300,000, a million. I mean, I've seen so many different things where there's fast growth. So that is one of the best ways to feel ahead, but it's not the end. You start to feel ahead, but it's not the end. So this is where it's going to get real interesting. And I believe that this last principle around building wealth is what they do not share with us. They certainly don't teach it in school. And it's one of the most elusive and confusing things about money. And that is how to make money multiply. And I told you, I'm not a financial advisor and telling you where to invest or how to invest. I'm not here to talk about that. What I want to talk about is the principle in multiplying money and the power in it. Okay. So there's a quote that says, making money is a skill. Yes, it is. It's so fun. Number two, keeping it is a discipline. Multiplying it is an art. It's an art, which means what? It means that there's so many different ways to do it. There's so many great ways to do it that all turn out really well. It's an art. So let's talk about multiplying money. And this is where I've learned the absolute most in this last year because I went from not knowing how to make money at all. I felt like it was so just lost on me how to like get compensated for value in all the different things I tried to sell. And this is where once you get past that, this is like the next boss in the game. Okay. So what's really interesting is that what is required of you to multiply money is the opposite principle to making money. The frame of mind that you need to be in is complete opposite to making money. What do I mean by that? So when you're making money, what you really need to be able to do is accept it. You need to be able to accept money. So many people, money isn't their friend. And so they're not even willing to accept it. They don't think that they're valuable or worthy enough to accept money, right? So you need to that's why learning how to sell and learning how to make money is so critical because you get comfortable with accepting money and seeing it grow and having bigger, numbers in your account and all that stuff. That's really cool. But multiplying money, it doesn't require you to accept money. It requires you to let it go. It requires you to let it go. If you think about the most fruitful relationships in your life, you trust that when they leave, they'll come back. You trust that when your child goes off to college to go learn something and become something, they're going to come home and be happier than ever to see you. They're going to be more developed. They're going to be a totally different, unrecognizable person. And what I don't think people realize about money is that money loves to circulate. Money loves to flow. Just like the blood in your body, whenever you exercise and you get moving, you feel so energized. Money is the exact same way. If you love something, let it go, and then it comes back. I know that it is so counterintuitive, but it is the muscle that you really want to be able to flex a little bit at a time in order to watch wealth actually build. Because when you invest in something, yes, the number seems to drop down, but what goes down must come up. And I know not every investment always works out that way. And that's why they say, when you invest in something, make sure that you understand it fully and have like just utmost clarity around it so that you do it. And I will tell you that just this past year of me really wanting to understand it, I took this very seriously and I prayed a lot about it. I was like, Lord, give me the wisdom and the courage to take acts of generosity, take acts of investment with a lot of faith, and give me like give me the opportunities to open my hands and really steward well what I have learned how to do, which is make more money. And that was just really cool. It actually took months and months for me to see opportunities, but I finally did. And I can't even describe to you the freedom, the confidence that it's developed in me, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I I'm not even gonna tell you what the investment opportunity was, but there was an investment opportunity where I was like, you know what? Completely understand this. I completely trust this. I believe in this. And so I'm going to, not throw. See, that's not the language we want to use. I'm going to place this investment in this space and watch it grow. And I actually did watch it grow. I've actually watched it double. But then guess what? I actually saw it go back down as well. And so I've seen this like in the green, in the red, in the green, in the red. And it's so fun watching the money that you've let go of and just trust like, hey, this is going to be okay. What I have realized is that I've actually learned to trust myself a lot more. And I this sounds weird, but I respect and I trust money way more because um it wants to be sent out and put to work. And I'm going to tell you a story about that in a second. But another kind of muscle that this is going to require you to flex and nourish so that it can get strong and grow is risk tolerance. You know, when you first learn how to make money, the risk is like feeling stupid or you feel like rejected. Like that's kind of the risk tolerance that you're learning with making money. But then when you're learning to multiply money, it's the risk tolerance of what if I do let it go and it doesn't come back? What if I do let it go and it's less than what I put in? That's part of the game. And I think what people get caught up in is like a guaranteed return of a certain amount. No one on planet Earth knows any guarantee of a return. Nobody. But still, Warren Buffett, Grant Cardone, the biggest investors in the entire world, they win and they lose. They win and they lose, but they trust that money wants to be put to work. And when you do the best you can, make the wisest decisions you can, you start to see this game and you actually start to see compounded growth. But what you cannot do, I believe what you cannot do is just hoard it, hold on to it, and expect yourself to feel wealth, to grow wealth, to feel abundant around money. That is impossible because just like I said, blood wants to circulate. And like you think about cardio and running, what do you have to do to maintain stamina, to build cardio flexibility? You have to breathe, right? You have to let oxygen flow. And money is the same way. If you were to hold on, metaphorically hold your breath with money, it cannot grow. It cannot. It will just be suffocated. And this is so wild. At the beginning of last year, like I'm on this journey to understanding money. And we went to our mastermind with Myron Golden, and he set up a moment for us to play a board game. And me and Macy were like, please, Lord, no, I don't want to play a board game. I don't want to have to learn a game. But this game was by Robert Kiyosaki, and it was called Cash Flow. And it's a game based on his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is all about how to like use money to your advantage and not just kind of follow the status quo of like earn, save, spend, earn, save, spend. It's like, come on, like we're all exhausted and it doesn't work to build wealth. So I'll tell you the quick premise of this game. The quick premise is that um, there's two levels. One is that you are in the rat race where you make your money, you spend your money, you pay for your life, and it's just the rat race. You're all on this hamster wheel. But then there's cards in the game where you can make investment opportunities and all kind of things like that. And when you do that and you start to build passive income in this game, you want your investments to start paying more than your livelihood. Okay. And so then when that exceeds your cost of living, you can exit the rat race. Now, here's what happened. So, what ended up happening was, Macy and I would both admit, like, we don't understand how to build wealth. This was January of 2024. And we never left the rat race. We never did. I made this little investment that kind of sort of paid off, and cost of living kept going up because you draw cards and you have kids and your costs go up and you have repairs and, like, kind of monopoly type things. But neither one of us left the rat race. But then there was a group of people around the room who did leave the rat race. And can I tell you something interesting? Those people who got out of the rat race in the game were also the ones who were most successful in our mastermind. They were the most developed, the most seasoned. They had built wealth in their real life. And so what Myron ended up telling us was, how you play this game is a direct reflection of how you think about money. So for example, I made that little investment opportunity from a card that I drew, and I got a little bit back. And he looked at me and he said, "What did you learn from that?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what did I learn from that?" I said, "Well, I guess since it paid off, what I should have done is just spent more on it. I should have let more go because it wanted to be put to work. It did pay off, but just you invest a little, you get a little. You invest a little, you get a little." And so the more open your hands are, the more faith you have in an opportunity, the more opportunity you have to grow. And this is why you cannot be so close-fisted with your investments. You cannot. And so that was such an amazing experience, and I highly recommend you buy that game, Cash Flow by Robert. It's absolutely eye-opening, and it's so low risk because it's a board game, but it is a direct reflection of how you think about money. And I want to tell you one more thing, because I keep saying that money wants to be put to work. And if you've heard of the parable of the talents in the Gospels, there's another one in the Gospel of Luke called the parable of the 10 minas. And minas are like talents where they measure a certain amount. It's a measure of a certain amount of money. And so I actually want to read this, and you can look it up yourself too. It's in Luke 19, verse 11. And this is Jesus talking. Okay, so Jesus is telling this story, and it's actually right before he goes into Jerusalem to be crucified. What does that mean exactly? But that context tells us that this was the last story he wanted to tell before he would go die. That means it's a big deal. And he was not going to leave before people heard this story. So I want to read this to you. This is absolutely insane to the principle of how he wants us to think about money, the faith that we should have with money, okay? So it goes like this. While they were still listening to this, he went to tell them a parable because he was near Jerusalem and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. He said, "A man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas. 'Put this money to work,' he said, 'until I come back.' But his subjects hated him and sent delegation after him to say, 'We don't want this man to be our king.' But he was made king, however, and returned home. Then he sent for the servants to whom he'd given the money in order to find out what they had gained with it. The first one came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 10 more.' So he doubled it. 'Well done, my good servant,' his master replied, 'because you've been trustworthy in a very small matter. Take charge of 10 cities.' The second came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 5 more.' His master answered, 'You take charge of 5 cities.' Then another servant came and said, 'Sir, here is your mina. I've kept it laid away in a piece of cloth. I was afraid of you, because you are a hard man. You take out what you did not put in, and you reap what you did not sow.' His master replied, 'I will judge you by your own words, you wicked servant. You knew, did you, that I'm a hard man, taking out what I did not put in and reaping what I did not sow? Why then didn't you put my money on deposit, so that when I came back, I could have collected it with interest?' Then he said to those standing by, 'Take his mina away from him and give it to the one who has 10. 'Sir,' they said, 'he already has 10. He replied, I tell you that to everyone who has, more will be given. But as for the one who has nothing, even what they have will be taken away. What does that tell us? It tells us a few things. One is that the person who doubled the money, the people who actually came back with more, they were put in charge of cities. And what's amazing about that is I think I know you well enough to know that you don't just want money. You want impact. You want to lead people. Taking charge of cities, they became governors. They led people. They led movements. And that is what is available to you. Only when you make the risk, you become tolerant to what might I lose, but also what will you gain? What will you gain? Whereas the one who's holding on so tight, who didn't want to lose anything, they were the one that was wicked, the one that said, you didn't help anybody. You just left it there. So I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to trust you with more money or to have any type of an impact on people, because the way that we are with money, the open-handedness, the generosity, the trust, the courage, the wisdom is a direct reflection of how we will treat people. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? And I also find it very interesting that he said, because you've been trustworthy in a very small matter. See, I think for a lot of us, money is such a big deal. It is such an overwhelming matter. But he said it's such a small matter. But if you can do this, if you can open your hands and let it flow and trust this process, you'll be put in charge of cities. The impact that you want to have on people is going to be a direct reflection of the trust that you have with this little purse of money. I hope that this encourages you. I hope that you see just such an amazing opportunity before you. And I really believe that when you make money your friend, when you learn to make more money, when you trust in multiplying money, you're not just going to build generational wealth, you're going to build generational confidence. And you're going to be the one that your kids look to for all of this knowledge and this wisdom, and they're going to want to walk in your footsteps. I hope that this encourages you enough and that you know that you can do this, that you can become unrecognizable in a year. You can be a completely different person when you not only step into the stewardship of money, but also the value that you have to give into the world. You can do this. I believe in you and I love you, and I will see you on the next video.